Way too quickly. There's actual studies on this. Apparently, when you're younger, time moves slowly. We perceive the passage of time differently. We got more frames per second when we're young. Apparently, like the smaller you are, the slower time flies. This is literally why a fly manages to fly away if you want to swat it, and it has like ungodly reflexes. They actually see you in slow motion. And so I think I'm getting old because it was just 8:50 minutes a couple of seconds ago, and now I'm late for the stream. Way too quickly. Hello, chat. Welcome to the show. I'm going to give you a life hack now. All right, a medical life hack. You actually learn about this in med school. When you drink coffee in the morning, don't drink it right after you wake up. If you drink coffee right after you wake up, you're going to have a shitty day. Like during midday, you're going to get really tired. You're going to get fatigued. Not a good thing. What you want to do is to wait 2 or 3 hours before drinking the coffee. And if you make this small change, like trust me, start tomorrow and then tell me how you felt. If you make this small change, you're going to have more energy during the day, right? So like still drink your coffee, just wait for 2 or 3 hours. Some of the religious right have adopted postmodernist thinking, while the civic conservative adopt egalitarianism. I have seen like a lot of religious people that are grifting with the anti-porn shit, and they're using words like sexualization rather than use sinful. They use words like the male gaze rather than using lust. So yeah, like there are a lot of religious organizations that has adopted not just the tools but some of the lexicon from the left. Usually these are NGOs that are going after PornHub. Now here's the thing with PornHub: it's a detestable website. Obviously, it has done a lot of things wrong. Usually allowing on their website certain content that's illegal, and they got into a lawsuit over that. They're getting punished. However, the solution that is being pushed by certain activist groups is to age verify the users, right? So basically, if you want to watch porn, you need to open your wallet, pick up your ID, and put your social security number there next to your name. Now, some states in the US have passed this absolute madness. And some retards are supporting it because, again, if I want to fuck with people, I say, well, I'm not fucking with you because I'm a sadist. I'm fucking with you because I'm protecting you from terrorism. Or I'm protecting the kids. That's usually Uncle Sam's MO. Throughout its history. It's like, the Patriot Act. Yeah, we're protecting you from terrorism. Oh, we're passing this law, which is going to give us more powers to protect kids, whatever. Here's the thing, right? If you gotta put in your username next to your ID card, then Pornhub obviously will store it in some sort of database, or at least you have to trust them that they will verify it somehow. What happens if they get hacked? That is like prime real estate blackmail material, you fucking morons. Like, most people, here's the thing, like, most men actually do watch pornography. It's a $1 billion industry. If that wasn't the case, like, how would they make their money if people don't watch it? Because no one says they watch it in public. But, like, since the 90s, the concept of dad's porn magazine exists. Like, let's stop pretending that the world is how we want and let's look at the reality, right? So, like, some of the men that watch it, they happen to be business people, they happen to be CEOs, they happen to be politicians, they happen to be judges. And if such information would leak to the public, that is, like, no matter what they watch, they can watch, like, the most benign vanilla shit. That is just prime-time real estate blackmail material. Why would you want to create such a system? And secondly, is the normalization of going online and logging in with your ID the same way they do it in China. Like, you need to be a fucking moron that absolutely hates your freedoms if you would ever support anything. I don't care about what it is. On going on the internet and typing your social security number to access a website. You're out of your goddamn fucking mind. You're a threat to the liberty of people. Here's the thing. Let's assume that this is the case, right? Like, if a website hosts adult content, people have to use their social security number to sign it. They want to pass that in Australia, I think. They're talking about passing it in Britain. And certain websites in some states in the US, like PornHub, were required by the government to do it. What if then it expands? Okay, so like everything that has pornography. Do you know what else has pornography? Twitter. Oh, you want to log in on Twitter? Well, whoop up your social security number. Google search engine. I mean, you can literally type boobies there and it will take you, right? So like now type in your social security number. You're normalizing this. Why the fuck do you want the government to have the ability to watch what people post online? Like if there's a protest, like during COVID or anything like that, why do you want the government to know exactly where that person went, what they browsed? It's like, do you want China so badly? And not to mention, you know, like when I was a teenager, I would have found a way around that anyway. Like even the purpose of the law isn't going to accomplish what it sets out to do. Nightmare, thank you for being a member for 11 months. For the children always means something, or really it is being pushed every single time. I'm actually trying to figure out if there are actually some laws that genuinely benefit kids. But what I notice is that there's no more shows or things that would help parents parent. Did you notice that? Like, there's no push, there's no cultural push. It's like how to be a better parent, how to improve parenting your kids. Like, here's one thing, right? We live in the age of technology. And I haven't seen a single talk show, I haven't seen a single place on mainstream media that would say, when is it okay to give your kid a smartphone? Because this is like something that I'm actually dealing with right now. You know, obviously not right this moment, but since I have a son, I have to wonder and answer this question myself. When will I give him a smartphone? At what age? What happens when he goes to school, other kids have smartphones, and then he thinks that his dad is a piece of shit? Because it's going to be difficult to explain to him. You know, I'm putting myself in his position. Like when I was a kid, if everyone in my class has smartphones and my parents say no, I'm going to hate my parents. Like, what the fuck is wrong with them? Why can't they be like the other parents? And so, like, these are conversations that don't seem to have any type of public debate as far as I know. And then you also have the conversation, how do you monitor your kid on the internet? Like, the internet is a very dangerous place. When I grew up, there were many shows about the dangers of the internet. And as such, there were things like never reveal your identity on the internet, never share your photo with strangers, never share your address with strangers, never meet people on the internet face to face. Like that was ingrained in the culture when I grew up. Now, apparently, they claim, no, the internet is a safe space. Like, the internet is safetyism because, like, Facebook is safe. Telegram is dangerous. Telegram is bad. But obviously, Facebook, Twitter, like, these are prestigious platforms. Bullshit. Bullshit. They're not. How do I know they're not? Well, this year, as a content creator, I watch what trends on YouTube. And one of the things that have started trending, which is very interesting, is these channels that catch predators. So you guys probably know that famous American show, How to Catch a Predator. It used to air on television. What's the name of the host? You know, the guy that asks you to take a seat. He now has a YouTube channel as well. Like, he had some drama with some content creators. It was fucking hilarious. But there are people that are trying to reproduce this type of content. And the thing that shocks me, and this is what worries me, I have seen these channels like catch 2 or 3 people in a week. Like, how the fuck? Like, how many are there? I don't think they're fake. Like, no one would just position themselves in a situation where they're an actor willing to play the role of a pedophile, right? Like, no one does that. And so the question is, like, how many are they? And as a dad, you suddenly understand, well, the internet is a really fucked up place, isn't it? And so, why aren't there shows that teach parents like how to monitor what their kids do online? Because I'm pretty sure there are ways, like you can give them a laptop, and the laptop like has a spyware that phones into your phone, and you can then see who your kid is talking with. It's not just like about this type of harm that I'm worried, but like what if he goes up and starts talking with a group of communists? This is another thing, and like communists have a way of perverting the family unit. I remember like one of the stories that genuinely horrified me, and this is when I first started my channel. It was about a girl, like this was during the peak feminism, and it was about this girl, this daughter, which was very upset about the father. And I looked into her, I genuinely wanted to see what her story was. And she was this rich, spoiled, middle-class kid. And she got through university, her dad paid for it. And then she started associating with a group of commies. So like they were LARPing about communism and all this shit. And meanwhile, like her dad offered her a place of work at his business, gave her a car. Like he was doing everything that a father should, like he placed her on a road for independence. But she was a third-wave feminist. In other words, she had to be a cheeky little shit, because you couldn't be a third-wave feminist without being a cheeky little shit. And she starts posting, the whole stuff about America being a rape culture, systemic racism, and that the American flag is an evil symbol, and blah, blah, blah. Now, the thing is, like, her dad also happened to be a veteran. Like, he actually went and fought, and I don't know if he bled for the country. I think he may have gotten shot. But suffice to say, he was an actual veteran, right? Now here's the thing. He basically said that he believes in free speech. And he's not going to hate his daughter for her things, but he wants to understand them. Like, why would you say that? And he wants to talk with her. Now, the interesting thing about third-wave feminists is that they had no debate. Like, absolutely no debate with anyone that's not a feminist. They called it no platform for bigots, no platform for fascists, that type of shit, right? So he tries to talk with his daughter. Do you know what his daughter does? Blocks him. And that's when the father lost his shit. And it's like, okay, you want to block me? That's fine. He took away the car, fired her, and said that she has a month to find another place to live. And all of this because of fucking communists. Like, the communists poisoned the mind of this daughter. She had no reason to do this. She didn't change America, didn't change society, didn't fight for a noble cause or anything. But the communists turned her against the parents. And so, like, I'm very worried about the shit that's online. And I noticed that, like, all of these rules that are supposed to protect people, it's like, oh, the company will protect it. No, I want to be the one that protects, because I'm the father, right? And so notice how there's no public discourse about how the parents should monitor what their kids do online. There used to be, when I was growing up, I was playing World of Warcraft, and there was, like, literally a parental control feature. Like, if you want your kid to play World of Warcraft, you had parental controls, and I think, like, you had, like, the option to disable the chat if you wanted. You had the option to limit how much the kid gets to play. So, like, let's say, I would buy World of Warcraft for my son, he's 12, gets to play for, like, 1 hour a day or something like that. And when the hour expires, boom, the account gets locked up. What happened with those features? Where are they? That's genuinely how you're supposed to protect kids, by empowering the parents. Hi V, hope all is well with you and your day is good. Well, it actually is. Thank you, American Outlier. Kids pretending that they are living under the threat of a new genocide because you can't be trans at 7 years old. A lot of the hysteria was caused by university professors and teachers. I remember during the Kavanaugh trials, there were students like zombies banging at the door. There were students that literally went in the trial and be like, they got arrested. They got a criminal record. Imagine being the parent and your kid is radicalized by your university professor. Like, you're already spending money to send your kid to college, and you're struggling as hard as you can, like taking money away from you so that your kid can have better. They go to a university, they get radicalized by a Marxist asshole, and then they get and do something which, again, isn't changing the country, isn't doing anything. It just makes a politician look good, I guess, right? And then you find out, oh, congratulations, your kid now has a criminal record. Zlixian, I am willing to sacrifice exactly 0 of my privacy or freedom to protect kids. Even if every child on earth will XXX, the answer is still no. Look, the thing is, it's not even doing what it's supposed to do. That's what pisses me off. Like, if at least I knew, all right, well, we do this and we obtain that, then I would be like, okay, fine, that makes sense. Not even that. If my options are to let my son stumble onto seeing a PPU or let him grow up in 1984, I choose the PP. I don't think I need to make a choice. I think I would be very capable of making sure that my son doesn't see sensitive content online. It's called being a good parent. Again, there are spywares you can install on a laptop, and then you get to see on your phone what they're browsing, who they're talking to, what they're doing. I'm going to be the fascist dad. Barron's chat would make modern peeps' eyes bleed. Oh my god, yeah. Oh, Jesus. Like, I still forget that there are many people alive today that haven't got to see the internet back then. Like, if you're 18 now, when were you born? Hold on, let me check. I'm actually curious. Like, people who just dinged 18. So, let's say it's 2025, right? Because we're almost in the next year. That would be 2007. Okay, so like 2007, let's say that by the time you're 10 years old, 2017. There are people that are alive now that have never experienced the internet before 2017. Like, they don't know what it's like to have an unmoderated place. They don't know what it's like to have the Barron's chat. Europeans do have rights set on their own constitutions. They are just not phrased the same. If you saw European constitutions, they look nothing like the American Constitution. Like, the European Constitution, especially like the Romanian Constitution, oh my god, like it's like a thick brochure. It talks about how the government is formed. It talks about not just like citizen rights, but obligations. It's not just a Bill of Rights. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the woke right. A lot of people find it cringe. Didn't they used to call it alt-right, though? Like, it was actually a thing, right? Like, right-wingers that use identity politics. Like that's how I recall it. Like, what was wrong with that? why are you changing it? Oh, you're changing it because now woke is being a pejorative, so you associate like the pejorative to the right, and it's like, oh. I'm not saying that there's not going to be a backlash, that people on the right aren't going to take it too far. But I don't think we're there yet. I generally don't. See, the interesting thing, if you look at American history, and this is something that I believe has been going on since World War II, probably before that. American Outlier can tell me if it's true or not. Although I don't know if they write this in the history books, like this is more like an observation. But America is built, like the cornerstone of America is the Karen, right? Like people that are moral busybodies. People who cannot sleep at night. And by the way, like this is not something that's true in Europe. Like in Europe, the question is, did anyone die? If the answer is like no one died, then fuck off, I don't care, right? This is because we had communism where we did have like state-enforced consensus. Like everyone needs to think the same. Everyone needs to do the same. And it literally traumatized us generations to the point we have absolutely disgust and disdain for consensus and moral busybodies. But America, no, like America has the cornerstone, the Karen. Like everything that happens, everything that you guys do is for her. And the Karen is usually like a raging bigot of various ideologies. Like it's not left wing or right wing, it's whatever it's popular. And the Karen cannot sleep at night if she doesn't know what the neighbor is up to. And so every movement that has like some moral principles or some moral guidelines, which may initially start as pure, over the time it attracts Karens. And once a significant concentration of Karens is created, that group radiates disgust and disdain towards other people, and they leave the group and they start supporting literally the opposite of what the initial group was supporting. I think this is an American tradition. It happens since banning alcohol. Like you guys constantly do this, right? So let me give you an example. You got World War II. In World War II, you have like this generation, the boomers, right? Like they're warrior-oriented. Like they're very religious because they fought in the trenches. They're I don't know if I can say imperialism, but they're gung-ho, right? Like, I mean, they fought in war. They're courageous men. But they attract the Karens, right? Like, everyone needs to live the way I lived. It's like, back in my day, I fought in the fucking trench, and you will blah, 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 right? And so, like, the Karens start joining that group, and then you have a backlash, and their kids hate them, and they create the hippie movement. So now you have the hippie movement. And the hippie movement, they got their own sets of ideals, and it's like, their own behaviors, and the hippies start attracting the Karens, which, again, start moralizing and lecturing others, and creates the same level of disgust, right? And then you have, like, the Bush era. And then the Bush era creates the Obama era, the Obama era creates the woke, and now the woke is creating whatever the fuck comes next. But it's a never-ending cycle. Like, in America, it seems that every single generation lives with the trauma inflicted by them by the moral busybodies of the previous generation. Like all of the shit that the previous generation does is it going to cause a level of resentment and disgust into the next generation. Just like now, a lot of people are resentful and disgusted by the woke, and they're going to create a new culture which is going to also be bigoted and is going to create another culture that resents, and so on and so on. It's like a wheel. There's small differences, and I know we can disagree on semantics, and you may not agree everything with I say, but it's true though. Chuck Norris's tears are cancer. Can cure cancer. Unfortunately, he never cried. Man, I miss the Chuck Norris jokes. Those are like the best. Chuck Norris doesn't sleep; he waits. Let me show you something, right? Here's my example. People say that instead of the woke right, you should call it the puritanical right. So we got this interesting comment here. The puritanical right is the term that Arch chose, and it is appropriate. So like this guy says, if the Puritans are actual Puritans, not the stereotype which offends you, there is a very high likelihood you are not right-wing. That's the problem with all of this. We have a bunch of leftists and liberals who didn't like how far the left went, but who still fundamentally agree with more leftist foundation and calling themselves right-wing. Hold on, there was a guy that actually did support the Puritans. Why can't I find it? Like, there was a guy that says, well, actually being a Puritan is a good thing. Alright, like, here you go. There's nothing wrong with Puritans. Puritans create good societies. Let me show you a problem that a lot of people on the internet, especially on the right, like this is fundamentally a right-wing problem, I would say. And it usually happens. I'm not going to say because right-wings aren't educated. It's more likely because right-wings are self-taught, Like, there's no university that teaches right-wingers about agitation and propaganda, about how to do activism, about, how to do lobbying, how to pressure things in order to get what you want. The left is filled with that shit. Like, leftists, they actually do study that at universities, right? They have entire handbooks written. So, like, they're very coordinated, and they are educated in that manner. Meanwhile, right-wingers, they kind of try to figure it out for themselves, and they have, like, splinter groups and shit. Let me tell you a little bit about politics. I'm going to lecture the Americans about politics. All right. Where's my... We're going to use Paint for this. Right. Can we use Paint? Does Microsoft still allow it? By the way, I'm constantly being asked to upgrade to Microsoft 11. I feel like a woman with big fat tits that constantly has a guy that asks you for coffee. And you say no. And you make it like specifically clear you're not interested. And even after you say no 10 times, he still DMs you. And that's Microsoft for me. Like, they constantly ask me, do you want to update to Windows 11? And I'm like, no. And then the next day, like, do you not want to update for Windows? No. How many times? Get the fucking hint. Anyway, right. Let's talk about politics. Let's say that I want to advocate for something. Like when you do politics, you need to just have a goal if you want to be successful, right? Like, let's say we're doing lobbying. And I want to accomplish something. What the fuck would I want? The Second Amendment in Romania. Okay? So, first of all, I need to know where we're at. Like, where is Romania when it comes to gun control? And the answer is that Romania is one of the most anti-gun nations on planet Earth. Like, we have a level of restriction on firearms that very few nations have. To the point where if you want to get a gun, you need to prove that your life is in danger. And then you can only get like a pea shooter, and you need to have a safe in your house, and you need to put your gun in one part of the safe and the magazine in another. Keep it always unloaded. Never carry it with you in public. And you have to allow the cops to come into your house whenever they want in order to see that your gun is in the safe. Okay. So we're at this level right here, right? Like this is where Romania is right now. Let's say I have a politician that says, you know what, truck drivers should have guns. Why? Because it's a dangerous job, and there's been a lot of cases with truck drivers that got robbed, so it would be a good idea if truck drivers are allowed to carry. But the same guy doesn't like the Second Amendment. Like, he hates American culture. He's like, no, we should not have guns for everyone. Oh my God, no, absolutely not. Like, that would be horrible. I mean, look at what's happening in America, and he goes with the propaganda, right? I would support that guy. Why? Well, because that guy would take me like kind of like here, right? Like, by allowing truckers to have guns, he is starting to slowly normalize the concept that civilians in some circumstances can carry. And so if I support that guy and he gets what he wants, I am now at this level, right? And I have to make sure that we don't go back. So like my job now is to make sure that any person that would say, we need to take away the guns from the truck drivers, no. Like, that's ridiculous, right? But you have made the conception. You normalized it. And in the future, maybe there's another guy, and he says, we're going to allow truck drivers to have more powerful guns. Like, why do they have to have pea shooters? What if they want to have a shotgun? Blah, blah, blah. Now, this guy is going to take me over way here, right? Now, he's not still pro-Second Amendment. He's not saying that everyone... No, but like, he is taking me a little bit further to my goal. And this is what the left has done with wokeness. This is how they're thinking. They're thinking long-term goal. They're thinking strategy. Like, this whole thing can be like a 20-year time span. It can be like a huge time before they actually get to achieve the goal. But like, slowly, they're normalizing the concept. right? And all of a sudden, it doesn't look as ridiculous because the moment you say, oh, let's have the ability for people to own guns like they do in Switzerland. Well, a lot of the voters will say, well, yeah, but like my dad is a truck driver. He has a gun. It's like he's responsible, blah, 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 right? What's happening with right wings in American politics? Should I even give names, or you guys know which content creators I'm talking about? Let's say they want to add guns in Romania, and we know where we're at. And they will be like, okay, we want Second Amendment, we want concealed carry, we want everything. Anything else that gives us less, go fuck yourself. You're not going to accomplish anything with this. It's not going to happen. No. Oh, this guy, he wants only truckers to have guns, but he doesn't want the Second Amendment. He can go fuck himself. We're not going to support this guy. Vote for the opposition. And so, this is one of the reasons the right-wingers keep losing. You literally cannot make politics this way. And this is the problem with puritanical thinking. Right? Like, it's the same shit with puritanical thinking. Let's talk a little bit about puritanical thinking and why it's bad. In modern politics, especially in the United States, it's very difficult for you to be a radical. Like, most politicians, they have to make concessions. Even in the US, where it's a two-party system, they have to make concessions. Any type of politician that manages to win the presidency, he's got to form a coalition. And so, you got to start appealing to people. If you're a leftist, you got to start appealing to some unions, the school teachers, right? You got to appeal to the postal workers. You got to appeal to identity politics, right? Like, let's talk with the black leaders. Let's talk with this and that. So you're trying to create a coalition. You're trying to get as many people as you can on your side. This is what Donald Trump also did, right? Like, he talked with Elon Musk. He went to the libertarians and said that he's going to release Wolfric, commute his sentence. He's going to talk with RFK and give him a position in his government, and he's going to do this and this and that. So, like, you gotta make concessions. If you don't make concessions, like, let's assume, by some miracle, right, let's say I'm born as an American, right, and I can run, and I actually managed to get the presidency, and I made absolutely no concessions whatsoever, my own party wouldn't support me. Like, it wouldn't just be the Democrats voting against me. There would be, like, people within the Republican Party not voting for me. And so, you cannot have modern politics. Like, we're talking about 2024, right? Like, you gotta know where you're at. We're not in the year 1800. We're in modern time. And you cannot have the presidency without making concessions. So what does making concessions actually look like? Well, see, this is one of the things. Like, I had the guy saying, if you're not with Jesus, you're not right-wing. Which is an interesting take, right? Like, it's an interesting way of thinking. So, like, if I'm not with Jesus, I'm not right-wing. When you vote, you don't just vote for the culture. You vote for the economy. You vote for policing crime. You vote for the international foreign policy. You vote for the taxes. You vote for, like, a lot of shit that may not even have to do anything with culture whatsoever. In fact, you may not even be a religious person. Hey, you may be an only fangirl, and you hate the fact that the government taxes you too much. Maybe you want to start your own business like Andrew Tate. And you can't do it because of the regulation. So, like, you vote right-wing because you hope that Elon Musk slashes the regulation. Now you have some chucklehead that says, no, you can't be right-wing because you're an only fangirl. Are you fucking mental? Okay, so basically you're telling me that if you're a Puritan, right? And you got Jesus in your family, you can move in a community that is filled with Jesus worshippers, and you're doing your own shit, but you literally cannot sleep at night because you know that 5 states away there is this OnlyFans girl. Like that literally bothers you so fucking much. Like I understand, you know, if it's someone that is a mugger or a thief or something, you know, like he creates crime in your neighborhood, like he actually affects the society you live in. Now, sure, like everything affects society in some way, right? But like, what is your tolerance level? Like, what are we talking about here? And the reality is, again, this is the Karen mindset. And every single time in America, every movement gets infested by Karens. The movement itself is being despised by the new generation. You know, they live through the satanic panic or whatnot, and then they create a backlash, which is driven by spite, pettiness, and disgust. And so, if you, like for example, right now, probably a lot of the puritanical mindset comes from the backlash to third feminism, which was like freeing the nipple, OnlyFans girls, and now people are like, no. Right? Like, and they're going to create another backlash. I'm just giving this example. It's not like necessarily OnlyFans. It's just like, it's on the top of my head. Because this is what I was talking with someone on Twitter recently. Apparently, like, he can't handle the website. And I'm like, okay, don't fucking watch it. It's so weird, isn't it? Like, they don't go after gambling websites. I think, like, gambling websites are just as bad. Like, there's entire people ruining their livelihood. I actually know people that destroy their marriage over gambling. So for some reason, it's like, no, OnlyFans is the worst. No, I agree, it's bad. Like, Jesus. It is. But, like, to tell someone that, well, they can't be right-wing because they're... It's like, okay, but maybe they're right-wing because they don't want to pay too many taxes. Did you think about that? No, they shouldn't vote. So you want them to vote Democrat? Yes. Wow. Okay, I mean... My point about this is that the reason the woke failed is because they're puritanical. Like, they ended up not being able to cope with the Hogwarts video game because it's made by J.K. Rowling. Like, that level of puritanical we're talking about, right? Like, they wouldn't be able to suffer the concept that some person out there is playing a video game. Because it affects fucking society. That's why, right? Like, in the vision of the woke, it affected their perfect society that unless everyone supports the message, society crumbles. Like, all their progress, all they built, all of their machination to create, you know, trans acceptance, all of that is ruined because someone plays Hogwarts and it destroys fucking society. And so, the level, the feelings that you have over that is the feelings that we will create towards the next generation if we behave in the same puritanical manner. I'm not saying that everything should be tolerated. Good gods, no. But, like, you should use your fucking brain and understand when someone does something that you can avoid and find a way to cohabitate. Now, if you can't find any way to cohabitate, sure. But if it's something that, like, okay, you know, that guy likes to play video games that are violent, leave him the fuck alone. Stop fucking with him. Like, if it doesn't bother you and you start fucking with him, then maybe he's a petty person and he will start fucking with you in return. Why do you want that? Anyway, let me bust through some super chats. We got Motocross Cooper saying, if any part of the right is the woke right, it's the greatest ally crowd because they turned into leftists and use the leftist manipulation tactic and change definition anytime Israel comes up. I don't know, like, what the terms of service on YouTube is about it. It's a lot to unpack there. Do you know how it all started? Why the GOP? Because there was a time when you didn't have AIPAC. You didn't have, like, strong lobbies. And so the question was, like, why exactly was the GOP so interested in Israel? And apparently, like, because you didn't have that many Jewish people in the United States that would vote for the GOP, and the lobby didn't exist at the time. And apparently, it's because of the evangelicals. Like, there were people, and I saw documentaries with this. I was crossing myself. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, in a way, I shouldn't be surprised because it is in the Bible, but, you know, like, I never took it literally. But there were people in the United States back in the day, and I'm talking about, like, Bush era and a little before that, and they genuinely thought that the rapture is going to happen, and in order to happen, you need to fulfill the biblical prophecies. So, like, in order for the biblical prophecies to happen, like, Israel is to be formed, and you gotta have, like, the Battle of Armageddon. And it was, like, literally the documentary. You had the guy, like, showing to the other wealthy people that went on a trip to Israel. It's like, okay, this is the plains of Armageddon. This is where Jesus is going to come down from the heaven and fight. Okay. I mean, he's not wrong, right? I mean, it's in the fucking Bible, so. J.T. Brown, I'm a native-born white American Python coder and data scientist guy. The left destroyed education to the degree that we absolutely need the H-1B program to stay competitive. If you want someone to blame, blame the left. I gotta say, I kind of agree with that. And I said this in a previous live stream. The reason I agree with that is that now that I'm making my own video game, I actually spoke with other game developers. And there was a time when I was looking for a coder. Like, I wanted to hire, a freelance coder to code my game. And what other developers told me, it's like, whatever you do not hire someone that has a university education in coding. And I'm like, well, why the fuck not? Most modern universities in the West, they only teach students how to obey. Like, what does that mean? What it means is that when they encounter some difficulty, when they run into a problem, they don't know how to fix it. They need handhold. You need to spoon feed them. Meanwhile, if you get someone that learns how to code in a boot camp and is a self-taught type of person, they're going to run into problems. They're going to figure out their own solution. And he said, this is obviously not the case for everyone. But on average, don't hire people that have a university degree. I'm like, wow, really? So, like, why do people get university degrees then? It's because of HR. It's like, what do you mean? Well, the HR lady, when she hires a person, she's not a coder. She doesn't know shit. But she can hire someone that's good, or she can hire someone that's abysmal. And so, if she hires someone that's a waste of time, if she hires someone that's abysmal, she's got to justify it. And she's going to be asked, it's like, why did you hire this guy? And she'll be like, well, look, he's got a degree from a prestigious university. And that's called covering her ass. So if you're just like a self-taught person, it depends if the HR lady likes you or not. TLDR, the left is woke, the right is puritanical, and both of them are ideological zealots. Again, I don't think like the entire movement as a whole, but it's enough for 10% of people to be like that to ruin the fun for others. Vampire government bans garlic? No. We got Lumi in the chat. When am I going to get like the face connect Lumi? I keep getting the discount Lumi. I want the Lumi with big titties. The one from Face Connect who blocked me. The left is a coalition of competing ideology. Like, unironically, look at the left, right? Gays for Palestine. Why do you think that happens? Why do you think the left has gays for Palestine? Are they retarded? The answer is no, surprisingly, right? The people that go there and they have like gays for Palestine signs, they don't really give a shit. They're never going to go to Palestine. They're never going to actually have to live in a Palestinian majority neighborhood. They go out there because it's fun, right? Like, they're going out there, they're protesting with their friends, they're hanging out, they're chilling. They get to appear on CNN holding a sign, look, mommy, I'm on TV. That's why they're doing it. And the purpose is to show other Muslims, like, hey, look, the left likes you. They're like, they're idiots. Vote for the left. Vote Democrat. They're not like the right, like the right. Oh, you're not with Jesus, you're not with us. Go vote for the other team. No, it's like, and that's how they manage to have their coalitions. Like people who pretend to care about politics. I mean, it's the campus life in America right now. If you're an American and you go to the campus life, the university professors are going to make you care about politics, even if you're not majoring in anything political. And so, if like sometimes the students may even get grades if they do activism. So, like, if you go to one of these Gays for Palestine's rally or whatever the fuck, you get, like, bonus points for the exam. And so you go out there, it's kind of like the Greta Thunberg protest. Do you guys remember the Greta Thunberg protest? That was, like, the most cringe shit that I ever experienced. And it actually shows how fake most protests are. And so I remember, what was it? It was 2018, I think. It was Greta Thunberg, and she said that this Wednesday she asks all kids from all schools to join in and protest with her. Do you guys remember that shit? And so there were like huge number of kids protesting. And I remember I interviewed a couple. In Romania, there weren't that many because the parents probably would apply a spanking if you are skipping school. But the ones that were like, okay, so do you care about the environment? Like, fuck no. Like, dude, this is a day off school. And that's why they were protesting. They didn't care about, like, the environment. They didn't care about Greta. They didn't give a shit. It's like, no, it's a day off school. And it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. I went to a college during the Bush era. We got credit if we didn't go protest. Yeah, it's normal. So, of course, they wanted a day off. Like, it's not fucking rocket science, A lot of people forget, like, but weren't we kids as well? Like when you were in school, if they would tell you, hey, you can get a day off if you protest. I don't fucking care what the protest is for. Can literally be anything. Just don't keep me locked up in school. It's like, let me go. I'll protest whatever the fuck you want. Kids are already free from school here on Wednesday. Jesus, how? No one really cares about things that don't affect them. Oh no, they care. There is like the puritanical mindset where they're really caring. But they don't really care that it affects them, right? Because you'll see like a lot of these people that care a lot about something, they're doing it themselves. Like, for instance, the recent example with the Hogwarts video games, right? Like, you had a lot of woke people, especially on Reset Era, and they were like, oh, if anyone plays the Hogwarts game, like, they're anti-trans and blah, blah, blah. And they will ban anyone from the forum that promotes that game. And then people found out that they had Steam accounts playing the fucking game for over 100 hours. So why do they do it, right? Like, why? Like, how does it affect them? How does it affect them that someone is playing the Hogwarts wizard game? It's the moral grandstanding. It's like, look at me. Do I not have the correct opinions? Cheer for me, you fucking bigots. Cheer for me. I'm saying the good shit. I'm a virtuous person. I keep society functioning. With my takes, I keep society running on my back. This is literally why they care. They don't give a shit. They don't fucking care about, violent video game. Who fucking cares? Fan service in anime. No one gives a shit. But it's like, look, I am the one that keeps society running. Me, on Twitter. I go there and I bring the vitriol and I tell people what's what, and I always have the correct opinions and I always have the right takes, and I point to the people that disagree with me. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, It's a very American thing, by the way. Unfortunately, it's becoming adopted in Europe. I've seen some countries starting to do it. Like, let me give you an example, right? The perfect American tradition. American outline, are you still here? I'm going to talk to you about history. Bill Clinton getting sucked by Monica Lewinsky. Who fucking cares? Who cares that Bill Clinton got a blowjob by Monica Lewinsky? You know what I thought? Like, I was in Romania and I was a teenager when I heard, and like, that's fucking based. What a fucking chad. What a fucking chad. That's the president's cock right there. But in America, everyone was outraged. Oh my goodness. And it's like, why though? Why do you give a shit? Is it national policy? Like, how does it affect his foreign policy? How is it affecting his economic policy? Did you vote for him so that he can have a good marriage? Like, was this on the ballot? This is why you voted for him, so that he has the perfect marriage? No, you voted for him because of the economy, because of the foreign policies, right? But Americans care. Americans care so much. Oh my goodness, we can't have a president that's getting his dick sucked. Like, that's not who we are. That's not what we are as a people. That's ungodly. Okay. Meanwhile, in France, in Europe, every single president besides Macron, not only did he have a mistress, but it was like in public, like an open secret. Like, everyone knew, okay, this is the president's mistress. In Romania, the president, there was a lady, what was her name? Elena something. He fucked her on the presidential office on the desk. And there were rumors about it, and everyone knew, and no one gave a shit. No one gives a shit. It's like, that's not what... I don't care what the president does with his penis, unless it's illegal. If it's not illegal, he can cheat, and he can have like 17 different... Like, I'm not trying to emulate the president. I don't want to live... Like I don't vote for a president so that he shows me how to have a life. No. I got parents for that. Like, my parents teach me how to have a life. The president is there so he can tax me more. So he can raise my taxes, so he can lower my standard of living. So he can piss off Russia or whatever the fuck the president does. That's why I vote for him. I don't vote for him to look at, oh, what a model human being. I don't vote for Jesus Christ. I already have Jesus in the church that tells me how to live. Udrea, yes. Udrea. Elena Udrea, yes. Every French president until Macron had the mistress. I wouldn't be surprised if Macron has one as well. But, like, this is the difference in American mindset, right? They literally can't sleep at night because the president had a blowjob. And you know what? If I'm not mistaken, is American Outlier still here? Wasn't Bill Clinton the one that balanced the budget? Like, he was the last president that America had would actually balance the budget. I'm pretty sure, like, he's a Democrat and a lot of right-wingers hate him. I don't know. I wasn't actually following American politics during the Bill Clinton era. All I know that he did bomb some country in order to make Hillary horny. Like, that's something that someone wrote was interesting. But besides that, no, of course I don't have a mistress. See, like, that's another thing. Like, just because I'm willing to put up with the president that doesn't mean that I want to emulate or that I think it's a good thing to have a mistress in a broken marriage. Like, that's his marriage, that's his business. It's not that it doesn't affect me, but it's that I'm willing to put up with it. Who fucking cares? Yeah, like, the president is a rich guy, very influential. He's got temptations. Okay. And? Right. De la Basescu. I'm actually going to show this meme. I'm really upset that... Alright, you know what? I'll actually show the meme with de la Basescu. Oh, wow. It's got 69,000 views.
E de la tata?
Have some from daddy.
Ești de la mama.
Have some from mommy.
Ești de la Băsescu.
Have from the Democrats.
De la Băsescu.
From the Democrats.
E de la Băsescu.
Take from the Democrats.
E de la Băsescu.
Come on, the Democrats. Take from the Democrats.
E de la tata.
Take from daddy.
Ești de la mama.
Take from mommy.
Ești de la tata.
Take from daddy.
E de la Băsescu.
Take from the Democrats.
De la Băsescu.
From the Democrats.
E de la
Take
Băsescu.
from the Democrats.
E de la Băsescu. E de la Băsescu.
Basescu was a Romanian president. A lot of people didn't like him. And yeah, the meme is like that. But I think like if I translate it and adapt it for an American audience, I localized it, chat. I localized it like an American translator. That's what I did. Base dog. How do you train a dog to do that? The same way you treat a dog to do anything. The carrot and the stick. Well, actually, it's mostly the carrot nowadays, right? Like psychologists. I never had a dog, so I don't know. I can train a cat, though. Like, cats can be very easily trained. I don't know why people have difficulty in training cats. But you can train them to do various tricks, and yeah, you just use rewards. Like, you just reward the cat whenever it does something good. Training a dog is easier, and I'll tell you why. Dogs actually are social creatures, and they respond very well to your emotions. So if you pet the dog, if you're happy with the dog gets that positive feedback, and it wants to keep you happy. Meanwhile, if you're sad, if you're frowning, if you're angry, the dog feels that, and it wants to avoid making you sad, upset, or angry, right? So you can just use facial expressions, you can use tone of voice, you can just use these things, and it's very easy to train a dog. With a cat, cats are social creatures, but they're kind of autistic. They're a little bit different. And so cats don't give a shit if you're angry or if you're sad or anything like that. They also don't care if you reward them by petting. And so the way you train a cat is with food. Like, that's the only thing that you can do, right? So, like, you need to find a treat that the cat likes, like some salami or something. And whenever it does the trick, you give it the salami. You give it a little bit of salami, and, you know, you keep doing it. So it takes a lot more time because you do not have the negative feedback, right? Like with the dog, if you try to train it to bring you the slipper and it refuses to bring you the slipper or it does something else, you can act disappointed, you can act sad, and the dog gets that as negative feedback, and it doubles the training rate. With a cat, you can't do that, right? Like with a cat, you just gotta wait for the cat to do the correct thing, and then you reward it. So it's kind of like trading with a hand behind your back, if you will. Ironic coming from a cat lover as V. Just because I'm a cat lover doesn't mean that I don't understand the species. Like, I understand the mindset very well, and I understand the limitations. Like, yeah, if you want to train a cat, it's more difficult to train it than a dog. Like, this is not some subjective statement. It's objective fact. Like, some dogs even train themselves. Again, it's the reason because the dog wants to see you happy, right? So, like, if a dog does something and see you happy, let's say it brings you a slipper by accident, and you're happy, then the dog actually does that more often. Cats are more like self-interest. Like for instance, I had a Bengal, and I taught it to walk on a leash. Like, I was actually going out with the cat on a leash, right? Like, just... And hello, Fadreos. Welcome to the show. Imagine me walking on the neighborhood with my cat on a leash, right? And was a very difficult training. Very difficult. Many obstacles. First of all, the cat doesn't like the harness. You put the harness on the cat, it looks as if its back is broken. It starts crawling on its belly. You gotta work with that. You gotta insist, and it takes kind of like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just for the cat to get used with the harness. And once the cat gets used to the harness, then you gotta teach it how to walk. The cat doesn't walk like a dog initially. It doesn't do what you want, right? It's not going to walk next to you. And so you gotta work on that. You gotta use a treat. You gotta bribe the cat and whatever. Point being, eventually, I did teach the cat how to walk. And you can do this with almost any cat, unless it's mentally deficient, like a Persian or something. You know, something bred to be stupid. But like most cats, they can actually learn how to walk like a dog. That's not a problem. But like once it started walking, it actually enjoyed it, so it would go and bring the harness in its mouth and drop it next to me to show me that it wants to walk, right? Like it wants to be walked out. So like the cats also understand, like they're just as smart as the dogs are, but because their brain is oriented differently, like they're not interested in socializing in the same way that dogs are. They only do stuff that's within their own self-interest. Because they don't understand if you're angry or sad. They don't get that shit. It's like, what is that? God, like walking with the cat, holy shit. Like in Romania, no one walks the cat, right? So like people were looking at me as if I'm some fucking oddity. And I was like, yeah, you can walk a cat, you can walk a rabbit, you can walk a iguana, like it's... But whatever. There was this lady with a dog. And I think it was like a poodle or some shit. And I was having a male Bengal. It was a very fine specimen, like really muscular. Like that Bengal was probably making all the cats in the neighborhood wet. He was like the Bengal Chad, pretty much, but really nice cat. Like very affectionate. You know, it would stick to me like glue, purr all the time. And there was this lady with a dog. And she's like, oh my God, that's such a nice cat. And I'm like, lady, keep the dog away. And she was like, oh no, the dog doesn't do anything. Like, it's harmless. It's not going to harm your cat. And the moron allowed the dog, like it literally released the dog from the leash. I don't know how that dog survived, to be honest. Like, it's a fucking miracle. But my cat, like, literally just went into the dog, like, lasered, boom. And the fur was just going out of the dog, like, bow, 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 bow. And the lady was like, oh my God, it's like, like, I told you to fucking keep it in a leash. Why did you unleash it? Like, did I say that I'm worried about my cat? Like, no. The fuck do you want me to do? Look at it, it's hissing. Like, it's a Bengal, it's like twice the size of a normal fucking cat. It can lacerate with its claws, and now you want me to put my hand on that shit. But yeah, no, it's interesting. To be honest, like, I genuinely think that she wanted to start shit. Like, that's the, like, because I never understood, like, what the fuck just happened. Like, like, all that I'm saying happened in, like, 10 seconds or so. Like, I was genuinely, like, I didn't even have time to pick up the cat. Because, like, that was my first instinct, to pick up the cat because the lady is local. But, like, she instantly released the hounds. And it's like, well, fuck me. It's not an attack cat. Like the cat... Here's the thing. Most people don't understand just how bad cats can fuck someone up. Like, if I was to choose between getting attacked by a medium-sized dog or a cat, I would choose the dog. Usually, people don't know because cats' first instinct is to run away. So you don't actually get to quote-unquote fight a cat, right? Like, it usually just runs away, it climbs up a tree, it fucks off. But if you ever run into a cat that has rabies, that has kittens, that is angry. Like, if you want to anger a cat, go next to another male cat smelling of the cat piss of another cat, and you'll see what happens. They can cause severe lacerations. Like, especially if they have, like, if they're an old cat with, like, massive claws, not only do they cause laceration, they can fucking climb on you. They literally climb on you and they start scratching and shit. Like, I have seen cat attacks at the hospital, right? They're not as bad as a pit bull, obviously. But like, if you have to choose between getting attacked by a chihuahua or I don't know, a poodle or some shit like that, or a cat, and like the cat literally wants to hurt you, like it's coming at you, I would choose the poodle. I fear cats more. Dogs only have their mouths. That's correct. Like with the dog, what you want to do, if you ever get attacked by a dog and you see the dog coming, and if it's one dog, right? Because if it's a pack, you're fucked. But if it's one dog, what you want to do, if it's winter or something like that, that you have a jacket, what you want to do is like you take off the jacket, you wrap it around your hand, and then you give it to the dog to bite, right? So that you can control the dog that way. This is happening like in Romania. You gotta learn these life hacks. I mean, the thing is, like, of course you're going to win against a cat, but you're going to take damage. That's the thing. American Outlier. He was able to balance the budget due to Congress and Senate was majority GOP. And that's why people get confused and label Clinton a conservative Democrat, and how Clinton was convicted of impeachment. Yeah, like the impeachment thing is like something that I still don't fucking understand. Like no European country would ever impeach their president over the fact that he got his dick sucked. It's like, okay, well, wow, that's what a fucking Chad. Rating terror, Democrats never fix the economy. It's just rigged. Only when a Republican gets in office, everything falls apart. Oh no, I think like Bill Clinton is the only Democrat that did. And there was the other Democrat that got America into World War II. What was it? FDR or some shit? Right? Like that guy also fixed the economy. I thought we're talking about real dogs, not Chihuahua. No, we're talking about medium-sized dogs, right? Medium-sized or smaller. So like if I were to choose to get attacked by a medium-sized dog or smaller or a cat, and I'm not talking like the cat is running away. No, like the cat is hissing and it's coming at you and it genuinely wants to fuck you up. I would choose the dog. It's a lot easier to control the dog. Apparently, Rating Terror says he didn't do it. American Outlier Rating Terror is disagreeing with you. Woodrow Wilson was top 3 worst president. Who is the worst president, though? Would you say Joe Biden? I wouldn't say Joe Biden. Like, he actually didn't do anything catastrophic, right? Like, Joe Biden didn't do, like, any major damage that can't be repaired. He didn't sign the Patriot Act, right? He didn't destroy your entire... well, actually, no. Hold on. Like, during Joe Biden, he did bring a million more people into the country, right? Left the door open. Forgot the door open. So, probably Lincoln. Okay, no, I actually, unlike many people, I do know the history of Lincoln. I am aware of what he did, right? It's not just like pop culture and like, oh, the Civil War was fought about slavery. I know it's about central banking and shit. And state rights. I think like that's how you'd frame. But let's say you had someone else, right? Like, let's say you didn't have Lincoln. And you have the South. Because, like, I don't think, like, Lincoln himself got the South to leave. I think, like, that would have been inevitable. The secession. Like, it was... The seeds of unhappiness were planted long before Lincoln took office. And so you have, like, your little Virginia going away. And you have, like, all the other states declaring... The Confederacy, they want to go their own way, right? And you have a president that just allows it to happen. Would you have preferred that? Like, honest question. Obviously, if you live in that time, maybe you would prefer it because it means you don't get to go to war. The American Civil War was horrible. Like, you may not survive it. But living in the now, right? Looking back at the history, like, are you happy that America is a whole, or would you have preferred it to be like what, the U.S. states and the Confederacy? FDR, he robbed America of real money. EO, Executive Order 6,102. Who was the one that actually took away the gold standard from America? Like, that was an interesting take as well. Like, that had repercussions worldwide, not just in the United States. Do you know who I think was the worst president that America ever had? I think like the worst president was George Washington, because he didn't put that crown on his fucking head. Like, if he wanted to be King Washington, oh my goodness, America would have been much more honest now. It would be like, well, you know, these are the aristocrats. They get to do what we want. Seriously, like, if George Washington decided to place the crown on top of his head, I think, like, now we wouldn't have democracies. I think, like, you would have monarchies, and you'd have the Kaiser and shit. No, I'm not kidding. Like, a big reason why we have democracies is because of the American system. Like, if George Washington placed the crown on top of his head, you would have monarchy now. I don't even know what type of system would the monarchy be like. But it would have definitely be different. Like, the world would have been a lot different if George Washington placed the crown on top of his head. It doesn't matter if Washington didn't have a strong hair. You would have elected someone else. I don't know who. But it would have been like the American dynasty. Like, take into account the world was still ruled by kings at the time. You'll freak out Americans with that take? But it's like one of those things, you know, like, could have happened. Like it's a thing that literally could have happened because it was actually proposed to George Washington. Hey, put the fucking crown on top of your head. And he would have got legitimacy when dealing with Europe as well. Because, like, it was a time where, you know, the balance was slightly starting to tip. It's like, well, actually, not really. I mean, even the French, right? Like, they had Napoleon. And he crowned himself. Yeah, like, Americans are the ones that came up with the concept of a president. Like, the concept of a president didn't even exist before the United States. Correct me if I'm wrong. Any historian in the chat? Like, we usually had the, you know, like, kings and monarchs, and you had, like, the French Revolution, which, you know, at the time was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, what is this? Like, the French Revolution, oh my goodness. But then you have Napoleon, and he's like, no, enough with the LARP. Like, I'm going to crown myself. His grandfather was Earl. It doesn't surprise me. Like, at the time, most generals were related to royalty in some way or another. So what if England had the parliament? England had a king. And yeah, like, France was a republic, but didn't Napoleon crown himself? Yeah, America is kind of modeled on Rome, right? Like, you have the Roman Republic with the Aquila and a lot of Roman iconography. Washington idealized Cincinnatus. He viewed power with care as a result. That's also an interesting question. Would Washington have been assassinated if he actually took the crown? Oh? I could see it happen. Like, usually what happens, right? Like, the moment you have... I mean, look what happened with the French. With, Robespierre, right? You got Robespierre in the French. And Robespierre, he eventually... Well, he didn't get assassinated, but he got executed, right? And this is what happens usually, like, after a major shift, a major change in the political system. And this is what America went through, from the colonies to a founding nation. And if George Washington would have decided, yeah, I'm going to put the crown on top of my head, he may have gotten assassinated. Because it's one thing to lead armies It's another thing to govern. Like when you govern, you need to have connections, you need to have allies, you need to know politicians, and the people like a war hero, but when you start taxing them, they may change their mind. Washington's lack of a biological son would have been a problem. He was assassinated. Yeah, but like if he became president, that's my question. Would he still be assassinated? Was George Washington assassinated? No fucking way. Like, dude. Don't laugh at me, chat. I know some American history. How did George Washington die? George Washington kicked the bucket on December 14 at 1799 at his home in Vermont. He started off with a nasty sore throat. In the spirit of 18th century medicine, his doctors decided that draining loads of his blood would help. Spoilers, it didn't. Thanks to questionable quackery, plus a likely throat infection, possibly epiglottitis or something similar, he basically bled to death. That's not an assassination. That's medical malpractice. That's malfeasance, chat. It's malfeasance. See, like, for a second, I was, like, really baffled. It's like, did George Washington get assassinated? Did that happen? Like, why didn't I know? But I was willing to admit that maybe I'm not informed. That was an assassination. No, it was medical malfeasance. Okay? George Washington's problem was that he trusted the science. But unfortunately, the science wasn't there yet. Dr. Fauci wasn't born. You know when Dr. Fauci said he is the science? Right? Well, he wasn't born yet, so there was no science for America. If Dr. Fauci was alive back then, George Washington would have lived. The first American technocratic assassination. Jesus. To be fair, I don't think it's medical malpractice though. They followed the guides. Like they actually did what a doctor was supposed to do. For that time period, right? Like within that time period, that's what doctors were supposed to do. It's like you bleed the patient. And they bled him dry. No one is to blame. It was a horrible accident. It wasn't even medical dumbfuckery, right? Like if that was the practice of the time, if that's how doctors thought that they can treat people, and the reason they probably did is because they would notice that sometimes it works. They didn't focus on the biles and phlegm enough. I actually get that reference. Fuck. They didn't give him snake oil. Anyway, chat. I need to go. And I'm going to upload some kick-ass videos on my secondary channel. So please do watch them. Because I guarantee to you, you'll like them.